Hey everyone, how are you today? I'm recording this because this is a powerful display of the beginning stages of racial reconciliation, and I really want you white people to learn from this because this is the epitome of humility. This is what it looks like to humble yourself. Chip and Joanna Gaines here have brought their kids to listen to the voice of a black man. And this is going to be an uncomfortable conversation, but this is one that must take place if we are going to see racial reconciliation take place in our nation and the end of systematic justice or systemic racism, however you want to put it. But nonetheless, this is an important topic. So please, white people, listen, lean in, and glean from what you can learn from this video right now. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. If we truly want to bring forth change, it not only starts with you and I, but it's also about the next generation. So I'm privileged to be joined by Magnolia co-founders, but more importantly, parents of five, Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Now, this is important here, right? Because we believe that we want to make disciples of all the nations. And if we're ever going to accomplish the task that Christ has called us to do in making disciples of the nations, then we must educate white people and their children. I mean, it's imperative, right? And so I really appreciate Chip here. He's just being a man of his home, and he's just bringing his children. And these children, look at them. They are just bleeding with privilege. I mean, cowboy boots, their sneakers are fresh and clean, their clothes is nice. I mean, just dripping with privilege, and I really appreciate this opportunity for people of color to speak into the lives of white people. So please lean in and pay attention and grow from this moment, because we want to make disciples of the nations. We want to transform generations. So listen in.
How are you all?
We're good.
Doing great. Thank you for having us, man.
Of course. Now, you came with Drake, Gella, Duke, Emmy, and crew. Chip, why was it so important that you bring your whole family here for this conversation?
Oh, man, when I saw your video, and it's been a couple weeks back now, I can't believe how time has flown. But I mean, bottom line, our family wants to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And the idea about having an uncomfortable conversation with the black man, honestly,
Absolutely. Yes.
is exactly what we need for this exact time.
Yeah. No. He's right. He's 100% right. We need to, more than ever, pay attention to the voices of the oppressed. We need to pay attention to those who are voiceless, and we need to lean in. And when I say we, don't get me wrong, I am a person of color. I'm talking about white people. You need to lean in. You need to listen. You need to pay attention. And again, that cute baby, right? That baby, that kid doesn't even know how privileged he is. I mean, look at all, I just want you to pay attention, okay? There is privilege leaking out of this video, from the clothing, as I mentioned, to the hair, to the color of the eyes. And so I'm looking forward to them being set straight, because again, we cannot progress as a people unless the black man and the brown man have their voices elevated to at least the place of where white people are at. So I just want you to hear that.
No?
Okay, why don't you go get a donut,
Okay,
baby?
go get a donut, little bro.
Crew's gonna go get a donut. He'll join us later.
He's like his mom. Thank you.
Now, let's have the uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
So I know you have some questions.
Yeah. So, we've been having this dialogue with our kids, and Chip
Good.
the other day, he was wanting to kind of get a pulse on what are our kids, what are they thinking about all of this? And so he asked the kids a question. Hey, pretend like you're at a gas station and you see a black man and a white man. Are you more threatened by either of those two men? And the kids really quick all said no. Why? Like in their mind, that wasn't.
Oh, oh, unbelievable. I'm interested to hear Chip's response because, these kids have adopted this colorblind, understanding of the world. These kids see a black man and a white man in a gas station, and they're not threatened by the black man. And stop lying. And I know I could see Chip starting to get a little uncomfortable, and this is how it starts. This is an uncomfortable conversation, and I appreciate what's going to take place here, but just kids, if we're going to be moving forward toward this idea of racial reconciliation, you have to be honest. You have to be honest.
They didn't even think about that. And so later, Chip and I were talking, and this whole idea of this colorblind thing came up. Chip said, I'm proud. I think our kids are colorblind. And then we started kind of pushing back on that. And I think our question to you is, I've heard other parents say that they want to raise their kids colorblind. In your opinion, what's the best way to move forward with this conversation?
Wow. Now, hold on, Emmanuel, because this is what I was alluding to a moment ago. What a privilege for you to think that you can raise your children in a world that is colorblind. I mean, that in itself is oozing with privilege. And I'm excited to hear Emmanuel lay it on them. Go ahead, Emmanuel. Do it.
Think that it's best that we raise our kids to see color because there's a beauty in color and there's a beauty in culture. So I'm first generation American. And so I didn't grow up with any animals. I didn't grow up with any dogs. And so my sister got attacked by a dog when she was younger. So now as a 29-year-old man, I can't decipher between a dog that's a threat and a dog that's just a pet. Because I didn't grow up with any animals. And
Wow. Yes. I knew it. I knew he would bring it. Yes, Emmanuel. Yeah. You see, you need to be able to tell the difference between a black person and a white person. Now, again, I know what you're thinking, right? That's kind of challenging because there's different spectrums, right? There's people who are of mixed ethnicities, and there's people who have different experiences within those ethnic groups, and then I know that there's people who are these biblicists, and they want to throw the Bible in here and say, well, we actually all just come from Adam, right, and Noah and his lineage and so on and so forth. But you're not understanding that today, real life, real time in our day, there are really two races. There's the black and there's the white, right? And so and in that black spectrum, there's people of color, right? Brown, black and brown. And so you really need to get that, because and then everyone else who isn't black and brown is white. Okay. And in some way you've contributed to the racial injustice that we're experiencing in our world right now. So this is good. Keep it going, Emmanuel. Keep it going.
I think that if we don't see color, if we don't expose our children to different colors, two different races, then it'll be the same thing. As a white kid who becomes an adult, you won't be able to decipher the difference between a black man that's a threat and a black man that's just black.
Right. Absolutely. You'll completely miss that. You won't know the difference between good and bad. You won't know the difference. If you don't see color, you can't decipher or have discernment as to good and evil. You can't. And so you have to see color, right? Like when you see an Asian person, you have to see color. When you see a Latino, you have to see color. And the privilege of being white is that you don't recognize that you also have a culture, and you don't recognize that you also have a color. And so you have the privilege of embracing this worldview that just excludes you from any of those categories. But I'm here to tell you today, and so is Emmanuel, that no, you are not excluded, that you too have a culture, that you too have an ethnic group and identity, and your identity is categorically justifies injustice and evil and whiteness. It just exuberates from you. So I appreciate Emmanuel breaking this down. This is good. 2 minutes in and he's just giving it. So good job, man.
Person won't be able to decipher between a white person that's a racist
Right.
and a white person who's just white and may happen to be racially ignorant. So
Oh, yes. And I like that. I like that. He categorized white people in two ways. One who's a racist and one who's just racially ignorant. And that's exactly it, because somewhere in that spectrum of whiteness, you are complicit somehow, right? And maybe you didn't have anything to do firsthand with what took place in regards to racism and things of that nature, but you are complicit in some way because of your whiteness and because of your, background and historical background and lineage of being white. And so I now notice what Chip is doing here. He's checking the temperature of his children. You see this? He's looking at what he's looking at his daughter, and you see the kids are looking off, kind of spacing out, embracing this privilege. The son over here in the direction that he's looking. He's I think he's kind of in the place of repentive mode. Like you can kind of see his face. It looks like he's thinking deeply. Now the daughter is staring at Emmanuel, and this is good because she's gleaning in, she's leaning in. So this is good. Even the child on the other side is just listening in now. Now he's relaxed and he's listening, because this is where it's going to get even better. Listen to this.
I think there's a strength, there's a beauty in seeing color. I don't like the concept of color blindness, because colors and cultures are beautiful.
That's right.
It's kind of what makes us human.
Exactly.
Everybody's got their own differences and uniquenesses.
Yes.
And even as you imagine our kids here of 5, each one of them have a different look. Each one of them have.
Oh no, hold on there, Chip. Yeah, you're I hear you, and you're not wrong. That I agree that there is a difference between your kids, and they're just not in this category of they're not all the same. I get that, but don't try to connect that point to what Emmanuel just said. Okay, so I just want to correct you before you move forward with what you're going to say, and I think I know where you're going. So let's see.
Have a different eye color, but each one of our kids have these uniquenesses, and maybe to your point, it's okay to highlight those things. I appreciate that. I've got a question in that, if you asked anyone, even a racist, if they're a racist, I would almost argue, that all of them would say no. How do we attack and solve a problem that I would say some people in our community don't even understand that we've got?
Yeah, great question. Great question, Chip. Great question, right? So, what is a racist? Someone who is being discriminatory toward someone else because of their color, right? And they're kind of holding back some benefits that they could be receiving, or job opportunities or so, on the basis of the color of their skin. They're thinking of themselves as more superior than someone else, and so that's what it is to be a racist. But that's not all there is to be a racist, okay? Because there is a lot that goes into this topic of racism, and we just scratched the surface, really. I mean, I don't know if you've heard this before, but if you haven't, let me be the one to educate you, white people. Is that really all white people are racist, and they just don't know it, or they do and they're fighting against it, which is a good start. And so he asked a good question here, right? There are some who may not even know they're racist, right? And you would say, well, I'm not a racist. Well, so you are a racist. You're a racist by virtue of the color of your skin, by virtue of your complicit background and lifestyle that you live, and consenting to wicked and evil whiteness, and all that being said. So I'm interested to hear Manuel's answer, because this is huge, right? This is huge.
I think that in America, we have to remember history is meant to be remembered, but history isn't always meant to be celebrated. And I think that we have racism so ingrained into our culture,
Yeah.
we don't even realize we're blind to it.
Wow.
I go to Nigeria every summer for a medical mission trip, and there's a sweet middle-aged Nigerian woman who, as I was escorting her into the optometry station to get glasses, she refused to get glasses. She was like, I don't need them. She was bumping into things along the way.
Wow.
Well, 30 minutes later, after we fit her for glasses, there was a huge smile on her face, because now she realized she can see the full depth of life, see all the dimensions of life, see all the colors of life.
Sure.
And I would argue that that's the same issue we have in America. Like my white brothers and sisters, until they put their glasses on, they can't see all the dimensions of life. And so they can't understand the full picture of, oh, maybe having a school named after a Confederate general that I have to attend as a Black person, maybe that's a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe having statues littered across campuses that I have to look at of men who would have oppressed, enslaved, and potentially executed me, maybe that's a problem. So I think that in America, we have to do a better job of properly discussing and placing our heroes.
Yeah. No, that is powerful. That's great. That is good, man. You know, and this is exactly why people are tearing down these statues. You know, I get it. History is important, and we should acknowledge the good, the bad, and the ugly. I hear those arguments, and I get them. But listen. If it's oppressive to a people group, no matter who it is, then we need to rid it. You know, we need to get rid of it because it is oppressive. And listen, white people, there's a lot that is highly offensive to people of color. And, you know, in this process of leaning in and growing and learning, it's vital that you understand that you must start the changing process right now by recognizing your privilege and also just recognizing that you are a racist, and put your glasses on. Put those glasses on. And this was powerful. I appreciated that.
I have a quick story about cancer, and cancer is not a real prevalent thing in our family. I was in New York just a couple years back, and I ran into a gal named Gabe Grunwald, and she explained to me about her battle with cancer. And within just a few short years, Joe and I have become just huge advocates of cancer. And we've been to St. Jude and the experience that happened there. And something about your video, Emmanuel, I want to be real clear, was almost like that light bulb moment. I don't have a whole lot of personal experience with cancer and the challenges that people face in that way, but I'm telling you, once I learned about it and I understood it and it affected my soul, I couldn't unforget it. And when I saw your video and even the title, An Uncomfortable Conversation with a Black Man, it was like there was a light bulb that went on in my head, and I was like, I think I've been blind to this reality for maybe my whole life.
And
Wow. Yes. And this is exactly why we are having these uncomfortable conversations with a Black man. This is it right here. These moments. What Chip has just described to us is the idea of being woke. He recognizes that there has been a problem, admittedly, his entire life, but yet he didn't know that there was a problem. He didn't know that he was oppressing Black people by the very existence of his life. And by not catering or by not leaning into the oppression or maybe uplifting the voice of the voiceless. And I appreciate this moment. You know, I appreciate it. And, you know, he's got a long way to go. He's just scratching the surface. He's got a really long way to go, but I really like where he's going right now. I can tell by the way his wife is looking at him that she is appreciative of her husband. Maybe a bit shocked that, you know, he's maybe been unknowing racist his entire life, that for the first time that he's finally seeing all this, but nonetheless, this is a good start.
That's my goal of these conversations for your children, for you, for myself.
When you hear the phrase, we've come a long way, does that feel right to you? Like, is that accurate?
I love it. See, He's smiling, Chip is smiling, but Emmanuel just gave a little giggle, right? And this again, we have to see that we're coming from two different worlds. Okay. Now again, there's two different identities that we're dealing with here. There's the black thought, and that black is brown thought, so everything that isn't white. And then there's white thought. Okay. And the way white people think, you see that smile right there, that's a white smile. And what that white smile is communicating is, that's funny. Why is he, why, I'm getting ready to hear what Emmanuel has to say. Emmanuel's laugh was, this we've come a long way is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm sick and tired of hearing it, and it's kind of pathetic. And so let's see what happens here.
We've come a long way. I would say that it is accurate, but it is incomplete.
That's right.
It's accurate because there was slavery for
Yeah.
339 years.
Yeah.
And then after slavery, there were Jim Crow laws. So technically, like, we've come a long way from slavery to Jim Crow, and then from Jim Crow to the new Jim Crow, the last 70 years or so.
The new Jim Crow, the new Jim, the new Jim Crow is just it's the unfair policing and arrest of black men, and so that's the new Jim Crow. But Chip is getting it. His children are listening. This is what makes this entire thing so powerful, is that his children are being exposed to this teaching. They need this. They really do. Like, if they see dad was ignorant of this his entire life, and he has 5 children. I'm sure he's done well for himself. Beautiful wife. But if we can catch the children early, if we can get every white child to sit under the voice of a black man and have an uncomfortable conversation, I believe we can make a difference for the future. I believe it. Without a doubt, I believe that we can do it. So this is good.
That is coming a long way, right? Black people are no longer enslaved. However, there's still such a long way to go. I mean, think about this for a second. Last week, it was 53 years ago to the day that black and white people finally were able to be married.
Right.
Before we were spending the night here in Waco last night, and I thought about this for a second at a dear white friend's house, and I realized
dear
this was
white.
70 years ago. I would have been like executed.
Wow.
Like, just imagine that for a second.
Wow.
Sure.
If this was 70 years ago and I was staying in a white person's house in Texas as a black man, I would have been executed for that. So have we come a long way? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do we still have a long way to go? No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful to a degree because of this.
Yeah. Now, I love what Emmanuel said here. This is powerful. He said he was hopeful, but he said to a degree. And this is difficult to say, because people don't get it. They don't understand. I said we get it to a degree is because we'll never be fully embraced. White people, they're just all racist, and they don't grasp what it means to be a person of color. They don't know the struggle. They don't know the hardship. They don't know the pain. They don't know any of it. They don't know it. Now, you may say, well, they've gone through hardship and pain, and everyone does, but it's not like us. It's not like us. It's different. And so I really appreciate this moment. I can tell the Chip right here is grimacing. He's starting to feel it. And thank you, Emmanuel.
Because of interactions like this, and more importantly, because of you all. So I know, Emmy, you had a question that you wanted to ask.
Are you afraid of white people?
Oh. Okay. This is good. Children, they'll ask the last questions, right? See the parent's face, see Emmanuel's face. All right, let's hear this answer.
Whoa.
That's what I love about children. I mean, that is a phenomenal question. I'm not afraid of white people. I am cautious.
Bam. What an answer. That's it right there. I'm not afraid of white people, but I'm cautious. Look at this daughter look away here. That's good. That's good. Double-edged sword here. This is sharp. Son is looking down. He's peeking now. He's paying attention. He was looking down a minute ago, and she's zeroed in on him. So let's hear this.
Of white people. I think about water and electricity. Water,
Wow.
necessary for life.
Yeah.
Electricity, it's also necessary for life. But I do understand if those two have a negative interaction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Dang.
Wow.
And so-
Wow. Now listen, I I know exactly what you're saying, right? Because water and electricity, I get it, black and white. If these two things have a negative reaction, it's lethal, right? And listen, I can hear what you're saying and quit it, all right? Stop it right now. I know. Okay, I know the statistics that there's more black on black crime than white on white crime and all that, whatever. Don't even go there, okay? Don't even think about going there. And I'm starting to get a little upset now because I already know that there's going to be people talking about that. That's not what this is about here, okay? Remember, we're talking about white and black, okay? And as we deal with this topic of white and black, electricity and water, okay? So we'll deal with our issues, but we have to educate you. So listen in, okay? So I just want to stop that because I know that there are going to be people who are going to try to go there, okay? Electricity, no problem. There can be conflict between the two, okay? But electricity and water, when those two have a bad interaction, there's a problem, okay? So continue.
When I still might use my cell phone charger in the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, as a female, you still might use your curling iron or your blow dryer next to the sink.
Sure.
But you have to remember, if those two things ever have a negative interaction,
Wow.
it could be lethal. So I'm not afraid of white people. I'm just cautious.
Wow.
And I think the beautiful thing of children and about children is that we learn things as kids and it develops us as adults, which is why you all being here with your children is the most powerful thing.
Yes.
Because this conversation could be life-changing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And again, this is why we're doing it. We want to change the minds of white people, not just for the moment, right? But for generations.
not necessarily for their life, but for a life of someone who looks like me.
Yeah.
Drake,
absolutely.
I know you had a question as well.
Yeah. So with all that's going on in the world, do you have hope for the future?
Do I have hope for the future? I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
But I have hope for the future because of this reason. After I put out my first video, I saw Chip retweeted it. And I reached out to you and you said, I brought my entire family of 7 together. Wow. Because 30 years ago, I saw the LA riots. And 30 years ago, I'm seeing these riots.
Yes.
And I will not let that happen again.
Yes. Yes. Chip is getting it. Yes. He's getting it. You see, he got pumped up. This is it. This is a sweet moment. Pay attention.
So do I have hope for the future? I do, because of a man like your dad.
Yeah.
Do I have hope for the future? I do, because of a woman like your mom.
Wow.
But the only way to have hope for the future is if you all
Right.
listen to these people, if these people listen to me,
Yeah.
and if I listen to them.
Yeah.
And I
No, that's it. That's it. See, the only hope we have for the future is for white children to listen to their white parents who listen to the voice of a black man and have uncomfortable conversations. What a powerful moment. Wow.
I think we all have a lot of hope for the
Absolutely.
future. So Chip, I thank you,
Yeah.
First and foremost, for being willing. Joe, I thank you for being the matriarch of all matriarchs. And
Wow.
I thank you all for watching another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man. Make sure to follow, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to ask your questions because the world needs all of us.
That's it. Wow. Unbelievable. That was powerful. I'm telling you, these conversations are, whew, they're breathtaking. They are life-changing. And so please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to sit down and educate you and to instruct you in the ways of people of colorness and just show you the way, the truth, and the light. And so, thank you for watching this episode of An Uncomfortable Conversation with a Black Man Educating White People. Thank you very much.